you for joining me today for this session on personalization at scale, where we will explore what it means and what some Tealium customers in the Asia Pacific region are doing to build successful personalization programs. By the end of the 30 minutes, you can expect to have exposure to frameworks for developing the customer data strategy that underpins personalization at scale, and another for developing personalization use cases. So let's kick in. Customer experience and the personalization that supports it is often talked about as something new, and yet know thy customer is a philosophy adhered to by some of our most successful organizations across the ages. Personalization is simply the vehicle that translates this philosophy into the digital age. Personalization has many connotations. I find it helps organizations to start by getting a clear definition of what personalization means for your organization. An example from a Tealium customer is that for them, personalization is about timely, contextual relevance, where relevance is key. The more relevant the offer or communication to their customer, the higher the engagement, and therefore the higher the incremental return. Context is about fitting the situation the consumer is in. Are they new? Are they struggling? Have they just completed an order? And then ultimately, timely is about delivering their personalization at the appropriate time, whether that be real or right time. When I'm talking with organizations, they'll often tell me they're able to use data to respond to the needs and desires of their customers. Where they struggle, however, is when it comes to scaling that to be consistent across many channels. I remember 4 years ago, ExactTarget and Facebook tested the impact of consistency across 2 channels. They saw a 23% uplift in conversion. The challenge for organizations today is there are many more channels, and with it, much more complexity. At the same time, there has been a shift in consumer power through their access to information and resistance to previously effective marketing messages, especially fueled by access to buyer reviews. They now expect experiences, not product. This is forcing us to move to building cross-channel customer experiences underpinned by personalization. There is no doubting that personalization brings value to the bottom line, with a multitude of statistics that validate this. Here we see a 15% uplift in revenue from using consistent triggered campaigns and product recommendations. We will look back on 2020 as a year of accelerated digital adoption. One of our customers in the Asia Pacific region has reported a sales increase of 26.5% in Q1 off the back of exponential web traffic and increased active app usage. At a wider scale, China is reporting a 20% increase in online purchases. Across the board, we are seeing marked increases in traffic and transaction. 2020 will also go down as a year of disruption. For some industries, it is a call to deep transformation. In the digital realm, other headwinds such as crumbling third-party cookies and increasing privacy awareness are a reminder that maintaining sustainable customer relationship is key to long-term resilience. In digital relationship is recorded in the data. So that's the macro view. Let's start drilling on how to apply personalization appropriately. Often I hear personalization talked of as though one-on-one is the goal across the life cycle. This not only presents challenges with the amount of content that would need to be generated, it also does not fit with consumer expectation. Beware the creep factor. In the physical world, you would not approach a new visitor in your showroom by asking them how their family was. Personalization and familiarity should align. The more the relationship grows, the more I have permission and will be expected to demonstrate my knowing of my customer. At the same time, as the relationship grows, the knowing of the person should outweigh the product with respect to relevancy. We find ourselves in a time where EdTech and MarTech are colliding and merging. With it, we are seeing some useful cross-pollination across the two specialities. But the thought that one-to-one personalization aspired to in MarTech translates through the whole EdTech world does not necessarily stand up. It can be seen by the consumer as invasive, and frankly, some technologies were simply not architected to support that level of personalization. We need to know the customer in a channelless manner, but be channel sensitive in personalization application. This construct has given rise to the concept of data orchestration, the concept that I should centralize the collection, governance, unification, and enrichment of data, then syndicate it to the edge, to the existing investment in specialist tools and teams who are best placed to make the appropriate decisions on how to bring to life the timely contextual relevance. Some of you may be thinking, but it's not all about the data. And you're right. Some of the leaders in this space are building a three-legged stool when it comes to addressing the challenges of scale. Historically, though, the content and analysis pillars have been well matured and defined, so we will not be touching these here. Customer data and automation, especially when incorporating digital technologies in the fundamental architectural design, where activation is the primary motivation, has only really matured in the past 5 years. And it is here we will focus for the rest of the session. We've learned much from previous attempts to solve this personalization at scale challenge. We now know we need to address the technology and business challenges in tandem. And this requires education and focus all the way through to the C-suite to ensure that the value of personalization to the strategic bottom line is understood. A customer data strategy is a framework that guides your organization in strategic data management. Our customers tell us it should not be seen as an end-dated project, but rather a new business as usual, which heralds a new collaboration across that business. Key to its success is neutrality. Too often, previous data strategies have been built to satisfy the needs of a specific channel or a current technology that leads to siloing and pain of migration, which is so regularly felt. The fact that you need to know thy customer means that you need to build a customer-centric data set. An optimal customer data strategy is one that balances offense with defense by aligning the risks with business strategy. In other words, balancing data control with flexibility to optimize growth and promote strategic resilience. It helps to have a framework to develop something like a data strategy. At Tealium, we have 6 layers focused on the key processes to support activations such as personalization. Some of these layers address the risk aspects such as integrity, identity, and privacy, while integration anywhere, real time, and a machine learning in flight are there to realize the business growth opportunities. It's important to start by building a robust, repeatable methodology for capturing data from all sources in a timely manner, in a form that can be quickly unified and activated. This will enable your organization to uniformly hear the signals from your prospects and customers and respond. It is about building an enterprise-wide schedule for onboarding data that is business priority driven. Key to success is including the technical resourcing for each of these source systems, as this is often the bottleneck to completion. While the schedule is business driven, the value across the business in data control, auditability, and efficiency should be accounted for and tracked to ensure that the early wins are visible to maintain project momentum and focus. The data layer was born in digital and is key to data momentum and data democracy. The data layer concept has transitioned from digital to omni-channel to enable offline data to be activation ready, as well by translating the offline data into the digital world rather than the direction of previous approaches. Its nomenclature should be customer-centric and in the language of the business to optimize access for the business. Historically, issues with data quality have been addressed at the point of unification. To achieve the goal of real-time, optimizing integrity at source gets you the best possible outcomes. To do this, ensure that you are able to visualize the data as part of the collection process so that you can address the source issues early. Identity has almost become its own sub-strategy, and it is the key factor to the success of a customer data strategy. It should be progressive in that it should be designed to accommodate for new systems that will ultimately come on board. The first thing you want to do is complete a systemic identity audit across the enterprise from unknown through to known. This will enable you to develop a gap analysis of where you have gaps in your identity capability that you can then use marketing tactics to apply to address. And finally, we found that an enterprise-wide master ID, which decouples identity from technology and promotes long-term organizational ownership, is optimal for success. Sustainable and respectful communication comes from knowing and applying how a customer wants their data used. It is key to the ongoing access to the data required to achieve personalization and must start with consent before capture. Since the beginning of the internet with a one-size-fits-all approach, personalization has matured through many forms, from initial automation processes modeled on the wisdom of the crowds, using customer-like-you-also-liked methodologies, to now machine learning, heralding the opportunity to automate prediction actions based on the needs, desires, and preferences of the person themselves. But most machine learning projects perpetuate data fragmentation problems. The output of the model, which is supposedly high value, is isolated. It's a new silo. This kills your momentum, dampens the value of the model, and actually creates new problems for you, which you may have to solve. Generally, the feedback from our customers is they're looking for ways to accelerate and activate existing machine learning projects or to activate machine learning in flight. The challenge tends to be to strengthen the delivery and activation channels within the business to ensure realization of existing machine learning projects through a customer data strategy, or to include the capability of machine learning in flight as the consumer experiences your brand. Once we've built the strategy to have the data where we need it, when we need it, we need a framework to construct the personalization use cases, a repeatable structure in which we plan our use cases. In this case, we have a five-step process. Context is about, where is this person? Are they in the booking funnel? Does that mean they're in an acquisition context? What are the treatments? What are they interested in? What products are they looking at? How are they wanting to group those products? What do we know about the person themselves? Are they an existing customer? Did the funnel completion give us any useful identifying information? Let's take a look at some of the personalization use cases for Tealium customers across the Asia Pacific region. First, we'll start with an online beauty retailer that trades across Asia Pacific. They are an early player in the online beauty market. Interestingly enough, in 2019, 85% of cosmetic purchases still were made in store, whereas this organization is pure play online, which means that they are uniquely placed to provide electronic beauty consultation services, which will surely grow in the current environment. They wanted to extend the consultant channels by providing personalized product guidance and recommendation to users who engage their customer services representatives. In an effort to recreate the experience in other channels, they rolled out nurture tracks for key skin and hair concern verticals that are driven by a user's most recent browsing behavior. Prime Credit provides a range of financial credit services in Hong Kong. They were looking to deliver consistent experience in digital while complying with the security and infrastructure requirements of a financial services organization, where personal information had to be housed in their own infrastructure. They activated a consistent upsell retargeting use case based on digital behavior by using Tealium to unify and enrich data from web, app, and offline before passing back to an internal infrastructure for delivery to endpoint as security required. And finally, an Australian online real estate company wanted to deliver hyper-targeted cross-channel communications across EdTech, social, email, and push based on behavioural insight. They used the property browsed information and scoring to understand their buyer interest and position in the process for activating through Braze, Facebook, and DoubleClick. In that your organization is building a customer data strategy and then enabling personalization use cases, the early success measures will focus on the data wins around the data access, momentum, quality, and governance, whereas the personalization outcomes will form the basis for the long-term KPIs. Sometimes the success measures will need to be BYO. Australian National Heart Foundation developed specific achievement gates as part of their implementation plan, which they got their board to approve. They had no existing metrics to judge success of a program, so they developed their own. Tealium customers say there are 4 categories that drive success. The first is to develop a strategy that is across the whole organization, IT, BI, data, and business. The strategy should plan long, but include early and regular wins. Embed KPIs in this strategy and bring your own KPIs if necessary. Ensure that the strategy is independent. The second is about the change in internal data culture. One of the key insights here is that a data culture cannot be imposed. To this end, raise the data literacy of your organization through engagement and through enablement. Promote corporate-wide data-driven thinking and be aware that this kind of change can have considerable impacts. It will also be a new business as usual. It's not a distinct or in-data project, but something that will continue on, and it will promote collaboration to build scalable, repeatable processes. Finally, build your champions. Ensure that you have champions from board level through to data consumers. Done right, personalization enhances customers' lives, increases engagement and loyalty by delivering messages that are tuned to and even anticipate what customers want. For your organization, this means increase in revenue and resilience. I hope you found this session on personalization at scale useful. Feel free to reach out if it generates any questions. Thank you for your time.